Requesting everyone, all the participants, to please turn on your videos. And also at the same time, while you turn on your videos, kindly let us rise for the national anthem. Could you please play the national anthem?
Please.
They'll be playing the national anthem. Just hold on. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Good evening, everyone. And we welcome you all today for the session. And let me introduce what is today's session about. Future school leaders for 30 days, they have arranged for speakers. And let me inform you all, they are not only speakers, but they are eminent speakers. And in 30 days, you will have 30 speakers addressing you all in the field of education. And today, we are extremely happy to have amongst us Dr. Kiran Bedi to address all of you. So that is about today's webinar, and that is about the Future School Leaders group. Next, just a quick introduction about myself. I am the moderator for the day. I am Dr. Sagarika Roy Bhatia, doctor with a PhD in education, that is multilingual and multicultural education for the refugees and the migrant children. That has been my topic in PhD. And I have been a head of school for last around 7 years. Right now hailing from Mumbai, and I am at Mohali, and I'm there to start a new school. So that's about me. And without much ado, I would like to get this whole webinar started. And let me start by introducing our speaker for the day. Our speaker for the day, I'm sure you all are waiting wholeheartedly to listen to her. And she's none other than Dr. Kiran Bedi. She was born in a family who loved tennis, hailing from Amritsar in 1949. While still in school, she attained junior national championship, tennis championship at the age of 16 and Asian tennis championship at the age of 22. She was ranked India's #1 of her time then. Her education includes an undergraduate degree in English, law degree from Delhi University, master's degree in political science, PhD from IIT Delhi in drug abuse and domestic violence. Dr. Kiran Bedi is the first woman in India to have joined the officer ranks of Indian Police Service in 1972 and served a variety of roles, including narcotics officer, anti-terrorist specialist, and administrator. She served for 35 long years. I can't imagine, audience, the learning and the exposure she must have had during the peak of her career. Going ahead, being at the helm of affairs, she very wisely used her power and used her power for power to correct, power to prevent, and power to get things done. Dr. Bedi served as police advisor to Secretary General in United Nations in the Department of Peacekeeping Operations in New York. She is the recipient of the Ramon Magsaysay Award, also called Asia's Nobel Peace Award for bringing about a positive relationship between police and the people. She has authored several books such as I Dare, It's Always Possible, Creating Leadership, and many more. Dr. Bedi has been voted as the most admired and trusted woman in India by Reader's Digest, The Week magazine, and other several and many other magazines over the years. To add, she also has a biopic on her life called Yes, Madam Sir, made by an Australian filmmaker, and a recent documentary on her was also featured in Nat Geo's Mega Icons. Currently, Dr. Kiran Bedi runs two NGOs which reach out to marginalized sections of the society in education, skill development, in the urban slums and the rural areas, including prisons. Currently, Dr. Kiran Bedi is serving as the Lt.Governor of Puducherry. With this, ma'am, it is a hearty welcome to you, and we are very, very, very eagerly awaiting since a very long time to have you here on board and address our audience. And here's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sagarika Roy Bhatia. You're a Bengali and a Punjabi.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Sagarika Roy Bhatia.
Yeah.
So what are you more, Bhatia, or are you Roy more?
I think over the years, after 25 years, I think I've done justice to Bhatia too.
So where are you from?
I'm from Mumbai. And currently I am at Mohali to set up a school, an international school there.
Have you set it up? Is it functioning? So
no,
is it a functioning?
No, it's not functioning. It's just partially functioning right now, but then it will be set up by 2022.
22?
Yes.
By the time COVID should be behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a school for football players.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Why?
That's to give its alternate education, because our education system currently doesn't actually encourage the alternate passion of the children. It's only all about education. So there in Mohali, we are coming up with a school wherein it's for footballers, for tennis players, and for hockey children, wherein it's going to be alternate education, where the model is going to be 80% games and 20% education. So that's the challenge with which I am leaving Mumbai and I'm heading towards Mohali to start an alternate education school.
Well, then you defined what is good teaching and education all about. You already defined it. If you've seen Isha Foundation School at Coimbatore, have you?
Yes, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
It's on the same lines. You're doing sports. Sadhguru is doing art and culture.
Yeah.
So children learn music, dance, and kalakeri and all those, and then also study along.
True.
So this is what. So thank you so much for this invitation.
Pleasure to have you, and I'm very happy to be moderating the session with you.
Thank you. I want to say that as far as the thoughts I've collected for you is, as teachers, the architects make houses. The writers made poetry. The scientists made discoveries. The teachers made them all. I think the message is very clear that whoever we are making, the credit probably goes to parents who gave them birth and also groomed them from home, and the teachers who are away, home, out of home, teachers, mothers out of home. So if we have the whoever we have, it's all creations of two teachers, mother and the There's another very interesting, I have a definition of a teacher, and that is what it is. While the architects, the writers, the scientists, and the teachers are made by the whoever they are, all the three architects, writers, and scientists are made by the teachers. Here is another brilliant paragraph I have, which I thought would define what is the cry about. This is an appeal to teachers from a school principal who survived the Nazi camp. And the story is like this. A school principal who survived the Nazi camp wrote, "I'm a survivor of a concentration camp. My eyes saw no person should witness. Gas chambers built by learned engineers. Children poisoned by educated physicians. Infants killed by trained nurses. Women and babies shot and killed by high school and college graduates. So I'm suspicious about education. My request is, help your students to be human. Your efforts must never produce learned monsters, skilled psychopaths, or educated maniacs. Reading and writing and spelling and history and arithmetic are only important if they serve to make our students more human." I think this says it all. On one hand, teachers make the architects, they make the writers, they make the scientists, and they make the leaders. On the other hand, they also make psychopaths. They also make maniacs. They also make inhuman beings. And they also create killers. Why? Is it because the teacher was different? No. Teacher was the same. It's the same teacher who made the architect and the psychopath. So what went wrong? I think Sagarika is probably offering some answers. I feel we more focused on competition, job creation, and a degree rather than human beings at heart. So once a teacher makes a better human being, so what is it that makes a better human being? So what is it in the COVID times, I believe, the role of the teacher is? While you as teachers prepare your children to do their syllabus, the book courses, what is it that extra you could do as teachers, or we could do as teachers? Because I too was a teacher at one time, is to ask them, how are they respecting their home? How are they dealing with their elders? How are they dealing with their youngsters? How are they helping themselves at home? Do they go to work with their father or mother? If it's a farmer's child, does the child, girl or a boy, also join the farmer in the farms? Because now he's saving time going up and down to school. Is he going and assisting the father, or is he saying that's not my job? Is a fisherman's boy or a girl also joining fishing in the boat with the father? So, or a musician learning music. I think this is the COVID time, because in the current situation, children have saved all the time of coming and going. So what are they doing with their extra time? Is a teacher asking them? And is a teacher focusing on that? And is the young teacher, is the young student of yours who is doing distance learning at the moment also educating the younger? Are they spending any time in teaching the younger, the brothers and the boys? Are they into more research? Are they more into general reading? Are they more into properly, correctly viewing certain documentaries, which they can, if they can, because I must admit that everybody is not equal. Some children have access to distance learning at the moment, and many don't have. But now let's focusing on those who have the access to the internet and are connecting with you. So let's, at the moment, I'm not on focusing on those who don't have this, because there is a digital divide still in India. So are we addressing that? Or are we again as teachers rushing to complete the course? I think that is the real challenge before the country, because I gave you the two extremes and positives. One, teacher who creates creativity, the architects, the thinkers, the engineers, and the other one who creates psychopaths and maniacs. I think that's the challenge before the teacher, to my mind, the first. Second is, are we making them more hungry for knowledge, hungry for learning? So if we are, then we are probably on the right track, because it's no more lecture time. To my mind, it's no more a lecture time. Now it is research time. It's a self-learning time and self-educating time. So if the teacher today in COVID times at distance learning, if the teachers through theirs, rather than teaching, encouraging learning, tell them this is the subject of tomorrow. Children, take the help of your parents if you can, or the elders in the home. Do your self-learning, and I'll ask you questions. And I could find out then as a teacher which child needs more help. And that child then is brought on an email chat or on a WhatsApp chat and given more handholding without being called to the school. So it's a different way of learning these days. No more is it homework karo. It is now more on self-learning and training. In a way, it's an opportunity for children to become word called self-reliant, self-teachers, which we were earlier probably spoon-feeding. They will come, listen, and help pass an examination. It's no more like that. I think it's a whole new way of teaching and learning. Are we looking at new ways of learning? In fact, I would be interested in knowing from the teachers in the Q&A, how are you addressing the changed circumstances as teachers? Because you're all experiencing it. Another challenge which I'd like to underline for you as teachers is children with disability. How are you dealing with them? Because those children who were then part of your school and you were looking after them, I think they are the ones who are most affected today, because the counselor cannot go visiting them. And the children with disability are absolutely getting left out. Parents also getting left behind. Third is, it's a whole new learning for parents. So are you co-opting the PTA through your distance learning? Are you working on elders and find out in every home who is the mentor at home? And are you connecting with them? I think some of these questions which I wanted to ask you, that are you asking this? For me, a good teacher teaches, a good teacher teaches, but a great teacher transforms. So are you leading to transforming lives? And last but not least, but I would like, if you can instill the knowledge of 5 wonders of the world to the teachers. Ask the students, teachers could ask the students, what are the 5 wonders of the world sitting at home? If they say it's Taj Mahal or the Eiffel Towers or the Great Canyon, etc., then they're going wrong. The 5 wonders of the world are the sight, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the touch, and the smell. I think all these are 5, all the 5 senses are the wonders of the world. So if you can, as teachers, pass this on and inspire them to see that the 5 wonders of the world are right with them, they don't have to travel to see Taj Mahal or the Eiffel, they are right here with them. And how do they use their 5 senses properly? Maybe they will optimally utilize their time. Within limitations, you may have to train them. That means you have to maybe go to larger general knowledge. Are the children reading the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita, the Mahabharata, etc.? Are they learning a new language? I think this is the real challenge as teachers for you to ask. So if I would list out 5 things which teachers could make the children do in the current distance learning is, number 1, make them read. Read what? School books and others. Make them do what? Ask them, what would they like to do in the limited circumstances? They cannot at the moment travel much. What can they do? Third, what is it that they can say? Ask them to say. Whether they put it in writing, ask them to say. So read, do, say. What do they think? Are they writing? What do they think? And finally is how are they preparing themselves for the changed circumstances? So think, read, do, say, think, and prepare. Now, as far as the e-learning is concerned, what's happening today is that it's providing a very good, easy access. Secondly, it is also enabling children to record what you are saying so they can replay it at any time. Third, it's making them more self-reliant for research. And it's also making them tech savvy, because I don't think any child would now future survive without being very tech savvy. However, what we are missing out in COVID times is we are losing out on interaction, physical interaction between the teacher and the taught. And also that you're losing out to see the myriad emotions on the child, the joy, the smile, the giggle, you're all missing it out. But now, but on the one hand, we are losing out. On the other hand, we are gaining an easy access, recording, self-reliance, and making them tech savvy. So friends, this is what I thought I will introduce you to my thoughts. The students was in one of the article which I read was, we are students of words. We are shut up in schools and colleges and recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years and come out at last with a bag of wind, a memory of words, and do not know a thing. I think we can turn this around. They're not in school. They're now at home, saving time and make it different. So what is it that we would like to redraw? These are students' woes. Now it's called students' benefits by coming from post-COVID time. What are the assets which they can pick up as a new learning from the new normal? As I would say as a teacher, either we make every child an asset or we make him a liability. And the country, the more the country has assets, the stronger will be the country. The country's health is based on the health of the youth, the brilliance and the morality and the characters of the youth. It is not by the numbers. It is by the higher numbers of healthy people we have. So a student, therefore, either is an asset or a liability. And it's in the hands of every child, because I've dealt with liabilities in the jail. As IG prison, I've dealt with thousands and thousands of liabilities, which cost socially, has heavy social costs in the economy. We feed them, we dress them, we treat them, we take care of, pay heavily through our nose, the society that cannot afford, all because they had dropped out and the teacher never cared to follow them. Teacher never cared to find out where he or she went. So we created these liabilities for society forever. And they cost very heavily because they also take lives. I thought, having said all these are my random thoughts as teachers for you before you today. I would be happy now to move into an interaction. I've had my share of 20 minutes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Bedi. Wonderful, and few points that you've actually made are really, really out of the box. That is learning the Upanishads and the Vedas. But I think first we educators need to get into it before we bring it to our children. You know, before we bring it to the classroom, we have to do it. And I think our education system, the B.Ed degree that India offers, should have these kind of spiritual texts, such value-based text, I think, as a paper, as a subject. And this is where we need to work. And if teachers are enlightened, of course, they will, without doubt, create assets and not liabilities. And also, as you rightly said, you know, because teaching is such a profession that it's like the double-edged sword. It's a teacher can make, a teacher can break. So it is always very, very, very difficult for we teachers to handle children. And only when we are exposed to talks like this by leaders like you, who have had an experience of dealing with children, as you rightly said, children of the prison and children who've been a liability. So I think hearing you, all of us here, educators, will take back home a lot of information, a lot of insight. And yes, as you said, developing curiosity in the learners. Very, very, very important. So here it is, educators for you. We open the platform now for your questions. Kindly type your questions in the chat box and we shall ask ma'am about the, an answer for your question. Okay, Harish Chaudhary has to ask that how can we imbibe values in children? So what is your take on it, Dr. Kiran Bedi?
Well, I think some of these are mentioned. While the teachers get retrained, why not do retraining of the teachers? So while the teachers are educating the children, how about retraining of the teachers?
You mean unlearning, relearning?
Unlearning to learn.
Yeah, unlearning.
And keep learning. There is no teacher who does not learn every day. A teacher is a great teacher who remains a student himself or herself. Refreshes learning, and very good teachers do a lot of research work before they go to teach again and again. They refresh because every book gets outdated from the time it's published. It's outdated. So therefore, you have to continue to move beyond the book.
Very true. Okay, we have a person over here asking us that what are the lessons the main lessons that you have taken during your tenure of working at New York?
In New York?
Yeah, New York. Because that's a foreign land, I believe that's why the person is very interested in knowing what were your takeaways and how is it a cultural difference working in India and working in New York?
It took me time to adjust to New York. I took a lot of time to adjust to New York. I felt very homesick because it was just too far away from me and I was a very homebound girl. So therefore, my experience is because of the nature I had. Since I was very home-oriented, I was absolutely out of home. Secondly, there was no family for me. So I'm also family-oriented. So my experiences, it took me some time to adjust. Third, the diversity of cultures takes you time to learn each other because everybody's nuances are different. So therefore, again, it takes you time. When you go into a new society, you have to either go advanced, learned before, or you learn by losing time. I think I learned by losing time. The United Nations did not give me an induction time. United Nations just plunged me into the work I was in. I think that is a that is a step missing. When you call people from all parts of the world and come to United Nations, I think they need to have some probation period to get used to, get acclimatized. Let's say the word acclimatized. And then given a time to understand each other's cultures, because I was right at the top of my office, a director of international peacekeeping, and I had about more than 40 nationalities working with me. Each was different. Each African country representative was different. So it took me I had to. I think I learned by trial and error. The fault was not mine because I had not been given. So my life in New York taught me that it's very important that when you go up for a new assignment, you have an attachment period, you have an induction period, so that you don't start from day one and say I know everything, and also that you don't make mistakes, you minimize mistakes. So my lesson from New York was, when you go out to learn into a new territory or a new area, the person must get an induction time.
Right. Also, ma'am, the write-up says that you have very wisely used the power, and you've used the power to correct, to prevent, and to get things done. And to get things done in our country with, in a democratic country like ours, it's not really easy. So what were the challenges you faced? If you could just elaborate on it, few of them.
The challenges is in the quality of human beings, quality of people who are in public service. And they're all products of the best of the universities and colleges. They are not self-driven. They are not self-driven. And
Right.
anybody who is not self-driven in public service performs minimal. And in crises like this,
Hmm.
when you need maximum performance, suddenly how do you help change the gear? COVID requires top gear, and
Absolutely.
most of the people were not even in the first gear. So how do you do that? How do you move them from first gear or even stationary? Some of them were even stationary. So from stationary to moving to running, getting onto the steering wheel, and then coming to top gear. I think that's the biggest challenge for this country today. I do not know about others, but you see how wonderfully well Germany turned around.
Hmm.
Germany was already as a class, as a country in almost top gear. And we were in many places just not even stationary. So I think the biggest challenge for administrator is how do you take people out of a stationary motion to starting to move, and from move to walk to jog, from jog to run, and from run to sprint, and from sprint to a marathon. I think that's a very big challenge, because the kind of people we produce from college and universities, they are not self-driven. They're not spirited. It's not self-driven. Lack of enthusiasm for public service. It's need for a job, not enthusiasm for public service.
True. We have another question. This will be the last question by Subrata Chattopadhyay. He asks, how can we imbibe the socio-emotional learning in this COVID phase in the children?
I think you need to have a chapter of Indian literature. You need to have Indian history, Indian national movement. Take them back to the roots, and our roots are very deep and very rich. If we go back to our own roots, we will be all at peace. Yoga is our root. Explanation of yoga. So I think the explanation of the Gita, explanation of Mahabharata and the Ramayana, it's got all the management and the character traits. Everything can be analyzed as a story. And since we are all integral, we all understand it. We don't need to import it. For Shakespeare play, we do Shakespeare reading. Instead of Shakespeare reading, let that become the optional reading for people to choose. Certainly English literature. I'm a student of English literature. But if I had Indian literature at that time, I would have chosen Indian literature and would have been much more knowledgeable about my own civilization. So I would say, give people better choices and give people Indian literature and uh, uh, Indian, uh, Indian ancient history
Perfect.
as
Maybe
a
we
part of regular education.
Right. We have time for another question. It says here we've got Geeta Sridhar who says, how can we make government schools more effective and accountable and bring down the gap between private schools and government schools?
Make the government schools attractive. Make the government schools attractive. And schools are not attractive only by building. That's a wrong concept. School is attractive by the teachers. If the teacher is outstanding, teacher doesn't even need a room. Teacher will be followed by the students even for under a tree.
True. Very well, very well said, Dr. Kiran Bedi. And yes, of course, a good teacher teaches while a great teacher transforms is a very, very strong point taken by you, by we educators today present in this particular session. And last but not the least, what you have informed us about the the five sensory organs as the five wonders is, I think, an excellent takeaway from you. And we really thank you very much for giving us your precious time and addressing all the educators. And I'm sure whatever you have said today with this, with the kind of conviction in your voice, I think that itself is very, very, very motivating for all of us. And of course, just having you here, just your presence is, for me as a moderator, it's a dream, and I'm very, very humbled to be a moderator of this particular session with you. So on this note, I request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem. And once again, thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Bedi, for having given us your precious time, and of course all the ideas and your thoughts that you've put ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sagarika.
Yeah, everyone please rise up for the national anthem. Jai Hind, and thank you very much. Inform you that we have master classes with fearless educators in collaboration with Helios Educore, and I request all of you to join these sessions every day, 30 days, 30 leaders, 30 talks, 30 pieces of very, very, very valid information. So please join the Future School Leaders group, and also like and share the Future School Leaders group on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much for